You ever feel like you're just running on a treadmill, working harder and harder but not really getting anywhere? Well, today we're going to talk about a huge idea that says maybe the goal isn't to win the competition, but to make it totally irrelevant. Let's get into it.
It's a feeling we all know, right? In our jobs, our businesses, our side hustles, it feels like we're all just scrambling for the same little slice of the pie, fighting over the same customers, the same attention. But what if? What if the whole game is rigged? What if we're all playing it wrong?
Okay, so first things first, we gotta understand the problem. It's something we can call the competition trap. And honestly, most of the world is stuck right in the middle of it and they don't even know it.
To really wrap your head around this, just picture it. It's the hottest day of the summer and you go to the beach. But so does everybody else. You're packed in like sardines, fighting for a tiny spot for your towel. It's loud, it's stressful, you're getting sand kicked on you. It's just not fun, right? Well, that crazy crowded beach, that's what most industries look like today.
So that packed beach, that's what we call a red ocean. Why red? Well, because the water is bloody from all the sharks fighting over the same few fish. It's all about beating the competition. But imagine, what if you just walked a little further down the coast and you found this massive, wide-open beach? That's the blue ocean, calm, clear, and full of potential. The goal isn't to be the toughest shark in the red ocean, it's to swim away and find your own ocean.
Okay, so the big question is, how do we escape that crowded, bloody beach? How do we find that clear, open water? Let's talk about the strategy for sailing into your very own blue ocean.
This whole idea is called Blue Ocean Strategy. And let me tell you, its core concept is a total game changer. It's not about being a better fighter in that crowded market. It's about being an explorer, charting a completely new map. You're not just trying to play their game better, you're inventing a whole new one.
And that leads us straight to principle number 1, and this is the big one. You have to stop looking over your shoulder at what everyone else is doing, trying to be a little faster, a little cheaper. Instead, shift your entire focus from competing to creating.
You want a perfect example of this in action? Cirque du Soleil. Think about it. They didn't try to get bigger elephants or funnier clowns to compete with traditional circuses. No way. They completely reinvented the whole idea, mixing in theater, music, and incredible acrobatics. And in doing so, they created an entirely new audience, adults willing to pay top dollar for a sophisticated night out, something a regular circus just couldn't offer. All right, I know what you're thinking. This all sounds great, but how do you actually find one of these blue oceans? Well, luckily, there's a practical framework for that. Think of it like a compass for your journey. It's called the 4 Actions Framework, and it's basically just 4 really smart questions that force you to challenge how things are supposed to be done. You ask, what things that everyone in this industry just takes for granted can we get rid of entirely? What's over the top that we can scale way back? On the flip side, what's being ignored that we should really amp up? And finally, what can we create that has never been offered before? Let's put this compass to the test with a real-world example. I mean, think about the airline industry. Talk about a classic red ocean, right? Total bloodbath. But decades ago, Southwest Airlines used this exact thinking to fly in a totally different direction.
So look at what they did. It's brilliant. First, eliminate. They got rid of stuff everyone just assumed you had to have, like meals and assigned seats. Gone. Reduce. They cut back on all the fancy frills and lounges. But then, raise. They dramatically increased the frequency of their flights, making travel super convenient. And finally, create. They created something brand new. Fun, friendly, low-cost flights that made air travel feel as easy as hopping on a bus. They weren't competing, they were creating.
Okay, but hold on. There's a really important piece of this puzzle we can't miss. It's not enough to just be different. Being weird for the sake of being weird isn't a strategy. The goal is way bigger than that.
And this is where this killer concept of value innovation comes into play. The magic happens at the intersection of new and valuable. It has to be something different that also gives people a huge leap in what they get out of it. It's got to be both.
And I absolutely love this analogy because it just hits the nail on the head. Look, you can invent a brand new flavor of ice cream, right? Let's say tuna fish and bubble gum. It's definitely new. But if nobody actually wants to eat it, you haven't created value. You've just made something weird. A true blue ocean move has to be something people absolutely love.
So where the heck do these breakthrough ideas even come from? Well, a lot of the time, the secret is to stop staring at your direct competitors and start looking across industries. The biggest innovations are often just borrowing a great idea from one world and applying it to another.
Starbucks is the poster child for this. They weren't just thinking, how do we make better coffee than the local diner? No, they looked across the world to Italian coffee culture and saw that a coffee shop could be a community hub. So they created a third place, a spot that wasn't home and wasn't work, where you could hang out. They mixed a good product with a great environment and created a whole new experience.
Okay, so we've talked about the trap of the red ocean, the wide-open promise of the blue ocean, and the compass you can use to find your way. So now, it's all about you.
And this quote, I think, just sums up the entire mindset perfectly. You see, it's a choice. You can stay on that crowded beach, fighting for your tiny patch of sand, or you can decide to be an explorer. You can find a new place where you're the one making the rules.
So I'm going to leave you with a question, and I really want you to think about it. Where in your life, your job, your business, maybe even a side hustle, are you stuck fighting in a red ocean? Where you're just competing instead of creating? Because just identifying that red ocean is the first step to sailing out of it. If you're ready to stop competing and start creating, and you want more ideas like this, make sure you subscribe to UNLTD. Hey, thanks for hanging out and diving into this with me. We'll be back to break down another big idea real soon.